quick, graph y equals the opposite of the greatest integer of x by hand, 2 different ways. This is part of the family of functions series. You will need graph paper, or you can download this PDF and print it. Press pause as needed anytime during this video. First way is we're going to use the step dance. Recall that the graph of a function and its opposite are reflections about the x-axis. That means that they have the same x coordinates, but the opposite y coordinates. Steps will be plotted with respect to the origin, and we're going to be using steps that have a segment that have a closed endpoint on the left and an open endpoint on the right. The first step is along y equals 0. And since the opposite of the greatest integer of 0 is 0, that's our first step. Normally the steps are in quadrants 1 and 3 along the line y equals x. But for this one, since we're doing the opposite of the greatest integer of x, the steps will be along the line y equals opposite of x, or y equals negative x. So along here. So let's go ahead and place those. Since the opposite of the greatest integer of 1 is negative 1, 1, negative 1 is the first endpoint. Then the opposite of the greatest integer of 2 is negative 2, and then negative 3. And then we go the opposite of the greatest integer of negative 1 is the opposite of negative 1, which is positive 1. Similarly, we'll get negative 2, comma 2, and negative 3, comma 3. And so it's an infinite number of steps. Comparing that to the parent function, and then we can also see that the graphs are reflections about the x-axis. Second way involves using a table. So we're going to start with the greatest integer function in these 5 ordered pairs here. These are the left endpoints that are closed. They're solid circles. For the opposite of the greatest integer of x, we're going to take the opposite of each of the y coordinates. So instead of 2, 2, we're going to plot 2, negative 2. And instead of 1, 1, 1, negative 1. 0, 0 stays at 0, 0. The next one goes to negative 1, comma 1. And the last one, negative 2, comma 2. So this is the graph of y equals the opposite of the greatest integer of x. Comparing that to the parent function, we can again see that these are reflections about the x-axis.